Hello, I'm Chelsea Fry with Motor Age Magazine. Owners and managers are responsible for the success of the shop. It starts with the right team. Here to talk with us about how to choose the right employees is David Rogers. David is the Chief Operating Officer of Keller Bros. Inc. and President of Auto Profit Masters. David, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chelsea. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. David, retaining quality employees starts before you even hire them. What are some suggestions to help shop owners screen applicants?
We'll break it down into a couple of areas. Number one, when you're placing the ad, it's important that we be specific in our requirements. You want to list things that you require, like years of experience, credentials, transportation, own their equipment, their own tools or things. It's really critical. I like to also mention what kind of attitude I'm looking for. Sometimes I put things in the ads like no tool throwers or crybabies need apply. When I screen resumes, we're always looking at length of the jobs. How long were they at each job? Is this a person that's a professional job hopper? We call them basketballs, have they been, bounced around from shop to shop every year, year and a half? That's not going to change because you're so magnificent of a manager. So you might as well just bypass that individual. Look for other red flags as well. Have they owned their own shop? I'm really not interested in training my next competition. Not interested in having them try to skim my customer base. So really, that's a red flag for me every time. I also understand the attitude and egos that come along with that. If I had $1 for every technician that ever looked at me and said, oh, well, when I owned my shop, we did it so much better. Interestingly enough, that they're now unemployed and came to me looking for a job. But of course, you can't argue that with someone. So some other things are after hours work, side jobs. That's a big no-no with us. We actually have you sign an agreement with us. So that'll help avoid that. I need your attention 100% on our workday, and I need it 100% on my customers and our shop. This fact of the matter is, we work together to support each other in a shop. Every single person's part of that culture and that team. And if somebody's bleeding some of it out the back door, they're hurting every single other person in there, and that's not in anyone's best interest. So we try to avoid that.
Great. And now that we've talked about, what to screen for applications, once shop owners find potential employees, what are some tips for them to keep in mind during the interview process itself?
Again, we hire for culture. I think you should ask questions that'll teach you about their commitment to your family, your community, to their families, the family of the shop, following policies and procedures. I want to ask questions to tell me about that. I want to make it clear to them before we even hire that we're not going to do any pencil whipping on the inspection forms in my shop. Everything's very thorough, reliable, and so are you. The other kinds of things that we might want to know are, can you hold them accountable? Because if you don't hold them accountable, they're going to own you. You're going to be a hostage within your own business. You got to hold them accountable so that you can empower them to control the shop on a daily basis. Unless you're one of those guys or gals that really enjoys being tied down every day and having to make every decision in the shop and being the main bottleneck on production, it's critical that you create that culture, that environment where people are able to understand what it is that we want and expect, and then carry that out and help us build the team in order to do so.
Right. Now that we have a new employee in the shop, what do we need to do next to ensure successful integration?
The first thing that we do with every new employee, no matter what their position is, we sit down and we review the chain of command. Okay, who reports to whom? We also discuss the accountability cycle and a return and report process. In addition to that, a critical part of our shop and all of our client shops is what we call a 10-minute meeting. I was just speaking with some of our team this morning, and they indicated to me that whenever someone calls in and is having trouble with their staff, with their team, the first thing one of my team members asks them is, how are we doing on our 10-minute meetings? And the answer is almost always, you see. So it's really a critical part of what you do. We got to teach them what they're responsible for, how they can change it, and then we have to empower them to be able to control that. If we set the expectations up front through an employee handbook and not just some nonsense corporate garbage that a lawyer spit out. The fact is, it has to be personal. It has to be clear. It has to be something that we can relate to. I really like to explain to people why we have policies and how it protects them and protects all of us in our opportunity to take care of each other. Recently, we all just saw in the news about the technician who is now facing jail time in a lawsuit. This is precisely what we want to avoid. And that's why it's so critical to teach people why the policies are in place, why the safety measures, why we don't pencil whip forms. Another thing we want to set expectations up front is what's their training quota? You know, we want them to go through that RPM toolkit roadmap. I want them to follow those processes. If the owners, the service riders, and the technicians are going down the road together and they have clear points that they need to achieve on that map, pretty soon we find that the entire shop, the entire organization is growing and has a great energy and a good commitment to each other and to their customers. The kind of thing that's sustainable and that some cheap advertising down the street from some new company is not going to defeat.
Mm-hmm. So if we're lucky enough to find great employees, what are some ways we can keep them on long term?
A lot of these answers are going to sound standard, but they're really not. It's all how seriously we take them, okay? Number one are benefits. We've got to provide quality benefits in this day and age. I'm seeking the kind of employees that stay in my business for many years. Those are typically people that value things like health and dental and vision. We provide 401ks. Which is a retirement program maybe for a few people that may not know. We also believe in strong family time, strong family commitment. We're not open on weekends, and we cover each other so that we can be there and attend family functions. I think it's important as owners and managers that we show the staff that we care. We've got to demonstrate appreciation. We do so through employee appreciation parties, discretionary bonuses, sometimes some gift cards and things, some employee recognizing each other and managers recognizing staff. I think when people move, a lot of times, we're forced to go into a bigger home or a new home. We go as a team. We take our trucks, we show up at somebody's house, we empty it out, and we pack it into the new house. You don't do anything alone when you're part of this team, unless you want to. We're there for births, graduations, things like that. I think also you've got to focus on what kind of customers you're bringing in. This brings it right back to a function of your marketing. If your techs know the customer appreciates the inspection and the customers are going to buy, they're going to come back year after year, they're much more excited to do them and to stay committed to the process. It means that we have to continue to train, and I think training is one of the benefits that we often overlook. By training not only the employee themselves, but the team members around them, and they see everyone's constantly improving and everyone's committed to the same kind of goals. It really, the reward factor there, the value for the job, the culture, and for each other, it multiplies. So again, that's where the toolkit and other types of training come in and become critical. I think it's also important to have really good policies and procedures. I'm going to hit that again. Really clear, really good, and spend some time doing a real orientation with the staff. Don't make it some have to or something that you feel obligated to do. Do it because you want to understand each other and you want to give them the best chance to start out on the right feet with you and to fulfill those expectations. And I think you'll get a much better result.
David, thank you so much for your insights. The success of your shop really does begin and end with your team. So make sure you choose your team members wisely. To learn more, you can reach out to David via email at contact@autoprofitmasters.com. Thanks again, David.
Thank you. Have a great day.